is committed to furthering the decentralization agenda. Fully committed, because we know the importance of decentralization. We know the importance of developmental decisions being made by people at the grassroots level, bottom up. And that is why we have walked the talk by providing a larger resource envelope to you, the local authorities, through the instrument called the Constituency Development Fund. From a paltry 1.6 million kwacha per constituency per year, yet we were pronouncing our support for decentralization. Truly, we were negating decisions and mechanisms that will support our pronouncements of decentralization. So from 1.6 million kwacha per year per constituency to a percentage you cannot even calculate on your small calculator, to 36.1 million kwacha per constituency per year. I think that's walking the talk. Because you can't pronounce decentralization without providing the instruments, the facilitation, and one of those big instruments, critical ones, is financing. We clearly were aware of why we were doing that and the importance of doing it. Most of the government public funds were spent in Lusaka at the center for many years, probably for 56 years of our 60+ years of independence. When every year the budget was pronounced, as we all know, this is the instrument for generating revenue, public revenues, and directing expenditure. We loosely call it the national budget, but that's a true meaning. Most of that money was decided and spent around Lusaka. Chongwe, you are lucky because you are viewed to be part of Lusaka in that sense. So really, the lion's share of that money went in Lusaka. But even that which was spent, the paltry amount spent in the regions, it's not just CDF I'm talking about, equalization funds, you can mention. The decisions to spend that money were still being made in Lusaka. Am I lying? Am I talking the truth here? Now, we are committed to walking this talk, hence this huge change in the quantum of the resources allocated to the local authorities. The issue is not resolved because of that CDF alone. We would like to see more resources going down to where you are. So, you must demonstrate that you are able to utilize these resources effectively. You must demonstrate that you are able to service deliver for the people of Zambia, who own the resources anyway. We are just managers of the people's resources, central government and local government and other public institutions. I must say, even the private institutions, private businesses, who also benefit from these resource allocations, such as your sponsors. Most of your sponsors are also stakeholders and the beneficiaries of these resources because they sell goods and services to you, the local authorities, for you to deliver services to the people. I don't want to raise the complication in the conversation. I will return it to simplicity levels. But truly, this is the connection I make myself. If local government delivers, central government has delivered, isn't it? Very simple. If local government has delivered to the people, it means central government has delivered, because local government and central government are connected at an umbilical level. They are essentially one and the same. The segregation, the separation is for the structuring which is necessary, segmentation which is necessary for delivery to happen. That's the way I see it. So sometimes it's unnecessary to point a finger at each other. We are actually one team. And I'll say a few more things about this. Financing. I am very clear in my mind, and I'm driving this point to Cabinet. Cabinet ministers, Cabinet office, PSCs, other staff at central government level, that we must ensure that more resources are raised and retained at the local government level. We are doing trial runs now, for example, on revenues associated with licensing, so that you can raise money through licenses and actually retain, for example, motor vehicles, retain the resources at the local level. But you must account for those resources. You must service deliver. I'm going around your theme, our theme. Your theme is our theme. So we will do more of this. Secretary of Cabinet is seated there. In Chongwe last year, we had a session where we handed over a number of services, isn't it, Mr. Kango, from central government to local government. We can't just hand over the services, which is part of delivery, without compensating resource allocations. That's the logic. That's the logic. And that resource envelope is from central government, yes, plus what you will be generating, or what you already generate, and what you will be generating, and also the partners. I listened very carefully to the UN system, our Canadian colleagues, our German colleagues. That must be viewed as a total resource envelope available to us, which we want to expand, raise more of that, and then we can support service delivery to our people and deliver growth. And deliver growth. And I'll come to that a little bit to put context. Growth is essential. But I have put a skeleton of my understanding and why we are together on this score. Absolutely together. Later you're talking about skills, training. All these are aspects necessary to grow local authorities, to capacitate them better for delivery. To those who put us in public office, you are elected officials through us who get elected. Councillors, chairpersons, mayors, members of parliament, and this fellow speaking here. When we get elected through our constitutional democracy and provisions of that constitution, we appoint you either by an interview process or by other means. So we all answer to the 20 million Zambians. Sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we start thinking that we are the men and women. We are actually servants of the people through this process. I'm saying to you things that maybe other people will not say to you. But that's a fact. So, Financing is very important. I have talked of doing the trial runs, piloting on revenue side, on the revenue side, such as an example I've given you. But let me touch on what the Minister of Local Government has been directed by this fellow speaking here, that part of the revenue generation financing, we call it, lies in the management of land in the local authorities. How we view land, how we make land available for development, and the developments that arise from thereof. Houses, factories, industries. If you want to call it improvements on the land, sometimes you simplify these things, but I call them investments. How do we manage them? First, how do we plan them? There is a serious weakness in planning development around land in the local authorities. We need to improve on that because it leads to revenue, improvement in the revenue. And I'll just demonstrate a little bit to you. If you allow shanty compounds to evolve under your jurisdictions, are you going to collect much revenue from the shanty compounds? Let's be serious. Plan your land allocation. Yes, make land available to citizens, but plan. This will be residential, this will be commercial, this will be industrial. Even farming land must be conceptualized and put in context properly. I'm a farmer myself. And I know now with our drive for food, sufficiency and surplus to feed the region as well, we'll be putting more money in agriculture. A lot more money. You know, FCPS is happening in your jurisdictions. The farmers under FCP are sitting in your local authorities. We'll be putting more money on SAF, Sustainable Agriculture Financing Facility. We are now looking to putting more money for irrigation agriculture, which will move around water harvest investments, more money again. Water harvest for energy, for agriculture, more importantly, precision agriculture, irrigation. All those things are happening under your jurisdictions. You need to be alive to these things. You need to be conceptualizing them and moving with the central government as partners with local government. Very important. Let's broaden the way we look at revenue generation, financing you call it, yes, but driven by activities taking place in your jurisdictions, local authorities. You can't be indifferent to developments that are taking place and planning them properly. And when you plan them properly, service them, basic services. Cut the roads, cut the drainages. And then you can collect rates properly. That's where I'm going. I hope I'm talking to somebody. You can collect your rates properly because you will have proper records of the properties and the developments in your councils, your local authorities. Some of the councils, you ask them, how many residential properties do you have in Lusaka? You'll be lucky if they can give you an answer. The mayor is covering herself, or her friend is covering her. It's a serious issue. You ask a local authority, how many residential properties do you have? first level, second level, high, whatever you call them, high cost. Data. Data. But it comes from planning. I heard my colleague from Germany talking about planning. I'm making points that are important for your conference around your theme, our theme. So, I have directed this minister. I was going around a little bit, back to what I've directed this minister. Because I directed the previous minister. He didn't want to listen to me. And this one I said, you are new, I've just appointed you, you have to address this matter. That matter amongst many is that a lot of valuations you have in your local authorities are untenable. And that's why you are collecting less money. Because in Lusaka, to pay for my factories, a factory I bought many years ago, every year I'm required to pay maybe 300,000 kwacha for my factory, my warehouse, let's call it that. That is pretty too much. It's like buying my own property. Let's attribute proper values for properties and therefore rates that are payable. And then we, in my view, from my training, if you overtax people, you are going to have a high default rate. So make the rates fairer and improve the collection efficiencies, you will collect more money overall. Very simple. Very simple. And that's the instruction I've given to him. I would like you to work with that minister to implement that business decision. If you look at the rates of default in your councils for rates, it's very high. And cheating then increases. I'm only using Lusaka because I live in Lusaka. But I can use Choma, a property there, I can use Yabonga, I can use Kaloma, I can use Livingston, I can use Kawe, I can use Kapiri, all of these places. And that's what businesses are concerned about. That is like rates are extortionist. They shouldn't be like that. Fair tariff, one, then efficiency in the collection. That's why we need digital platforms now. We need digitization so that rates can be collected on digital platforms. We reduce human interface and therefore the vices such as corruption. We reduce them. I can assure you, councils will collect more money. Local authorities will collect more money. And you will be able then to deliver services to those who put us in public offices. Let me touch beyond land. This president and government is pushing economic growth, and more growth. Now, we don't want to do that just at a national level superficially. This growth is intricately related to what you are doing in the councils, in the local authorities. And therefore, we are driving regional economic growth so that we in the local authorities can raise the agenda of economic growth, investments, trade in your local authorities. Promoting investments for your province, your local authority. Because it's a local authority, it's a province, it's national. So I want us to drive a lot of economic growth, investments, trade at the local authority level. You get involved consciously. Council meetings must be discussing the growth agenda, investment agenda, trade agenda, depending on where you are located. I know, Chairman, you've talked of all councils are not the same. Absolutely. But all councils have capabilities and endowments that God gave us. Let us pay attention to that. In this country, let me say something you don't probably appreciate as normal information, ordinary information. The whole GDP of this country is driven by only 5 provinces in significance. In that order: Lusaka, Copper Belt, Southern Province, Northwestern Province, Central Province, Chapa. The other 5 provinces are contributing very little to the GDP. Check the numbers. As I said, but is it that these other 5 provinces cannot deliver growth? They can. But we have not looked at this issue properly, and that's why this president, this government now says these 5 provinces can do more than they're doing. These other 5 provinces can be deliberately brought up to have more economic activity. Let's take Luapula. Luapula has manganese. Luapula has so much water. Now, the farming block called Luena in Kawambwa, this president is paying particular attention to this farming block, deliberately, so that we can drive the avocado growth there. We can drive Mansa, Luapula, Mansa, manganese. We need industrial power in Luapula in order to process manganese in Luapula. The manganese from Luapula is being processed in Serenje because that's where the industrial power is. So we need, this morning, straight from that meeting, I called all the power generators, electricity, State House. I hosted them. Government, quasi-government, government ZESCO, quasi-government CEC, Mamba, where we have shareholding, and independent power generators, plus traders, because of our reforms in the energy sector, and regulators. And we sat in the morning, we said, we need to up the power generation, driven from the lessons of the drought. UN resident, coordinator talked about it. The drought taught us some lessons. Now we are walking the talk to improve the energy mix, solar, other things. And we are saying Luapula has 2 critical base load areas, Lufubu, Kalungwish. Why are we not developing these stations? We are putting pressure on these now. Then that will allow Luapula to have industrial power and be able to process our manganese right in Luapula there. More growth. Feed Luena farming block. When I was last there, I pushed ZESCO to do the connection. Secretary of Cabinet is here. I hope what I delegated to you has happened. I watch, I follow. It has happened. Very good. Now we need to feed the lines there with more power. A focus on Luapula development so that we can have a regional economy there and up Luapula's contribution to the GDP, starting with servicing the province and the needs of the province. With the water we have, fish farming. Now, all of this I'm talking about is happening in your localities. Kawambwa Council, where is the Kawambwa Council there? I'm your friend going forward. You see me often around there because of the potential of that area. But you as a council must come to the table so that we plan together to grow the Kawambwa economy, to grow the Luapula economy. That's the message I'm delivering here. You're talking about financing, it comes from growth. Simple, not consumption. Even a Malaiti, but you don't want to invest in electricity. Malaiti Achoka Kuti, one region, for 58 years, electricity largely in this province came from Southern Province. 95%, 97% of electricity. The copper to build your roads came from Lambaland. That's it. For 57 years, nobody paid attention that we need to jack other provinces up. That's what this government is doing now. And when we do that, we will allocate more investment resources, attract more investment in those regions, and the councils will become wealthier. They will generate more revenue, more financing. That's the story. Not to be superficial. Your theme here is good, but you need to dive deeper. How do you generate more financing? The alternatives. I was in Chisamba not long ago to open 100 megawatts of power station. The Chisamba Council quickly moved with the chief Chamuka there to make land available for the development of the 100 megawatts. Then, during construction period, we employed 1,000 local people. And they contributed something to the council, coffers, to the national coffers. This is the story. That's how you sitting in this room must see your theme in financing. It's through economic development, projects, trade, investments. Kwamana. Other than that, your theme will be superficial. So what am I saying? Back to land. Make land available for investment in your councils. Plan, zone. Irrigation we're talking about, the land is in your areas. Make land available. There are farming blocks in most of your councils. What has been happening to those farming blocks? They've been idle for years. Now we have a plan to bring them into production. We go back to Luapula again. Back to Kawamba, Luena farming block. We've now reached an agreement, an MOU with Power China, who are going to develop a cassava economy in Luapula. Production, outgrowers. This morning I was with Zambian breweries, who have almost 2,000 outgrowers of cassava in Luapula province. Now this project we're putting in place will probably get to 20,000 outgrowers. And then a processing plant in Kawamba. Again, we need power. You see the subject. And then Kawamba, Luapula will be a different economy in 3 years from now. The councils in the province will become bigger financially and stronger. I decided to spend more time on this subject of your financing, service delivery, growth, sustainable growth, and inclusiveness. I can go on to other provinces. Western, so much potential there. But the land tenure there is inhibiting growth in that province. Land tenure. I'm talking to my colleagues there, the BRI, that your land tenure will make this province the least developed at the pace we are going. And then the councils in there will remain poor because there will be no source of revenue other than handouts coming from the central government, appropriation, equalization funds and all of this. Those are little paltry amounts of money. The more we develop the economies in the region, the quicker the financing and coffers of the councils would be. Northern, plenty water. We can do more around coffee, more around tea, more around rice, more around irrigation. A lot more. We have a farming block, Patrick, there, that has been idle since Kaunda's time. Just near Kasama there, with a lot of water, 2, 3, 4 streams, perennial, but nothing. It's just turned into a village. This government wants to revive all those areas and attract investments in the local areas where you are as councils. And you'll even be dictating to central government that, no, we want to retain more money here because we have more investments to make. I can go on that story. You have heard the message. Capital, investment, trade, power stations, solar, let's attract them deliberately. Let's ask the power generators to come to my council. I have land for a 50 megawatts here. You will see the difference. These things you're talking about, these are paltry little things. There will be a lot more money in your council coffers. I know one council that relies on a few of us who are the only businesses in that area, Kalomo. Always taxing our abattoir there and wanting more and more money. Let's bring diversification. The amount of levies that operation gives, police charge, every animal we slaughter an average of about 70 to 100 a day. And we share the money with the police, with the vet, with the council levy, with so many other governmental units. So if you had more operations in there, you will generate more revenue. Yeah, you should laugh about it, yes. Oh, where is he? Magai. He doesn't even, you know what he has done, that young man? He's even brought a garbage heap in front of the abattoir. That one. I was telling him, take that garbage heap out of there. Now we'll be exporting beef from there. So take the garbage heap out of there. We are paying you enough money to collect the garbage. Thank you, sir. I think you have responded to that call. Okay, quickly, and I'll be standing down. I think I've said enough. I've tickled you enough. I've challenged you enough. So, we want your councils to promote technology applications. Please, both on the investment side, on the service delivery side, on the revenue collection side. You will collect more money. You are leaving too much money on the table. But with digital platforms to collect money, as you rightly say, paperless, I like your theme or your concept, we'll collect more money, efficiencies will go up. Then we can have more service delivery. We can also take care of our conditions of service. Chairman, I heard you. Where is he? There. I heard you. We will collect more money. We will also improve our conditions of service for council workers, for councillors. Councillors, don't forget, when we came in office, you were paid almost zero. We have been able to improve your monthly allowances, this government. So we are working. The issues you raised about your gratuities, I'm alive to those. I'm alive to those issues. But as you know, we had to go through the debt restructuring first to bring back financial, if you like, integrity back to the country. We make a lot of progress in that area. So it's not an event, step by step, but we can walk faster by doing the things that we're talking about here. Joint ventures. I would like the councils, chairman, councils, local authorities to begin to attract investors once again, but with joint ventures. Sometimes the council itself can be a partner. There's one council that said to me, HH, we have land for a power station. Can you find us an investor? Council, local authority. And we're working on that. You bring the land, the investor brings the technology, the capital. And all of a sudden, that local authority will be an investor in its own jurisdiction and earning more revenue. You can clap for me a little bit. You will have a new revenue line which was never there because of the reforms we have done in energy of open access and independent producers and traders. So think along those lines. Collaborate with the local authority, traditional leaders, secure land, find an investor, a partner for irrigation agriculture, produce soybeans, produce. They won't. You don't have to bring the money, but make the land available. I can see some faces a bit surprised I'm talking like this, because you expected me to say, no, we'll cut a bigger check for you. We've already done that through the CDF. A bigger check for you and more. But I'm saying beyond those checks from central government, there is more you can do. And that's more sustainable. I think that's the point I'm making here. Joint ventures. Processing. Here's what your government is doing now. Instead of emphasis only coming in Lusaka and Kabwe and Copperbelt, this government now want to bring economic zones in your local authorities so that we can have more economic zones in your local authorities and you'll have more revenue sources from there. I think Kafue is happening. We have an emphasis coming Kafue, Chongwe, Chibombo, who is from Chibombo Council. Chibombo is already racing forward there with the Chibombo emphasis, where we are now manufacturing electric cables, we are manufacturing transformers in Chibombo. Nobody ever thought these things would be possible. In fact, that emphasis was used as warehouses before we came into office. When we came in office, I said, why do you need a warehouse here in Chibombo? Now we have these investors that have come, and more are coming. I think a ticket now is about $2 billion more are coming in there. But we want to have emphasis in other local authorities as a government policy, again, to take more economic activity to the regions, not Lusaka and Copperbelt. Who is from Kalumbila here? Kalumbila. You know what is happening there. Two emphases there. And we are pushing more investments in there. But we want to do the same for Mansa, for Kasama, for Choma, for elsewhere. That is what I thought I should share with you today. But we need to work together quickly in these areas. A lot of the processes are delayed by councils. Permits, licenses. Council meetings are not taking place to make decisions. You are postponing council meeting because of one funeral. One funeral. You postpone a council meeting which is supposed to decide on allocation of investment projects. I'm an African, I respect funerals. But we hold the meeting, after the meeting we go to the funeral. Am I talking to somebody? Na Mumfa. Mwamvera. Councils help us to remove archaic regulations. There are a lot of regulations sitting in the councils, and also point to the laws that are creating problems for you. It's another little thing I'm requesting you to do. There are laws that were left to us by the colonial government, and they're inhibiting progress. Please, as you meet in the council meetings, your normal management meetings, isolate these laws or regulations, pass them on to local government, and we will make sure that they are addressed to open up the regulations and laws that are amenable to the agenda for financing improvements, for service delivery, for growth, for inclusiveness. Constitutional amendment, you need to support it. You need to support it because you mayors, some of you have done 2 terms already. If we don't amend that constitution, you will be removed even though you are a good mayor or a good council chairperson. We are proposing that we should remove the term limit for council chairpersons and for mayors, you who are seated here, so that you can continue if the people want you, isn't it? As the councillor does, as the MP does, so is yourselves. Well, I can't hear you, but you heard me. So the deferment of the constitutional amendment is not postponement, it's a deferment. But we need to address, these are some of the issues we're addressing in the fundamental law called the Constitution. And it affects you in this room. I think I've said what I wanted to say as the major submission around revenues, around financing, around investments, around growth. And I would say, seek ye growth in your local authorities, and service delivery has a chance of improvement, and also your own conditions of service. And I want to tick the box, to quench the box of capacity building and training. We're fully in support of that. We want to tick the box to quench the issues of cooperating central government, local government. We are one. By the way, for some of you in the provincial councils, this government has decided to invest in provincial airports to make sure that the provincial airports have a 2.7 to 3 kilometer runway. They are paved properly, like Kasama Airport, which we have done. Who is from Kasama here? I see Madam. My friend there. Mulibuino? Yeah. Ndita Mkwe. Mansa, we're working on Mansa now. So we'll be working on all the provincial airports so that they have the international standard level, plus runway lights that planes can land in the night as well and take off. That's more business for you. No question about that. Yeah? Absolutely. So all the provincial headquarters, Chipata, Choma, Solwezi is well endowed. 2 more airports in Solwezi funded by the private sector. One Lumwana, another First Quantum. The Lumwana one, I was just telling the guys when they came to see me that we want it to be 3 kilometers so we can land bigger aircraft and do the auxiliary facilities that we're talking about. Private investors. That's the beauty of having investors in your locations. Fantastic. So we're together there. Let's work together. Let's work as a team. But I also want to indicate to you colleagues, teamwork between central government and local government is important. But we want to see teamwork within the local government. There's too much squabbling involving councillors, chairpersons, mayors, and members of parliament. Even DCs. Too much squabbling. Can we work as a team at that level? I see you are surprised that I'm drilling these points hard and very, very solidly. We need teamwork at a local authority level. Work together as one. It does not matter who is elected from which political party. Once you are elected for that 5-year period, work together. Deliver for the people together. Finish. Gender is very important. Totally agree with you. Very important. Women issues. When one of the presenters was talking about more women, I saw that group clapping. So you can clap again. Yes. This president is trying his best. Where I have the power to appoint first Speaker of the National Assembly, first Speaker ever is a woman. Colleagues, first Speaker of the National Assembly is a woman, appointed by us. The Judge President of the Constitutional Court is a woman. The Chairperson of the Electoral Commission is a woman. All of these appointed by this fellow speaking. So, but to get more women elected, one of the things we're doing is to sanitize politics, to work against violence in the elective process for women and any citizen, those that live with disabilities. Yeah? Plus the constitutional amendment. So we can bring more women, more youth, more those with disabilities. It's on the table already. So we are answering the call in practice, not by chit-chat. I think the social inclusion, very important. I will be calling a meeting, colleagues, of traditional leaders across the country. I'm seeing some disjoint there on making land available, on mining licenses, which will also improve your revenues, because mines are in your jurisdictions again. So I'll be calling a meeting of all traditional leaders, Secretary of Cabinet in Lusaka, across the country. I would like the local government teams to be represented in that meeting. Yes, to be represented in that meeting. Can we do a deal here? Secretary of Cabinet, when you call that meeting, I would like the local government association or some kind of representation from yourselves so that you can sit in that meeting with the chiefs, so we can address these issues of land availability, mining licenses, and making councils play their part in the development agenda. That's what I'm asking for. Secretary of Cabinet, make that happen, please. I think I have said my bit today. With all that I've said, some of it uncomfortable, and deliberately so, I take the pleasure to officially open your conference. Thank you very much.
Another big round of applause for our guest of honor, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, giving deeper perspective and context to our theme of innovating municipal financing and service delivery, pathways for sustainable growth and inclusive development. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of the official opening ceremony. I'll now invite you all to stand.
Thank you for watching that live outside broadcast. Please enjoy the rest of our programming.
One Zambia, one nation.
Today,
start big with Big Tree Cornflakes.
Big Tree Cornflakes.
The end of your journey will be big. Stay on your feet, chase to achieve. Give it your all and just believe that it's gonna be big when you start with Big Tree Cornflakes. Start big.
Today, the best maize grain Zambia has to offer are perfectly toasted into golden flakes. Today, start big with Big Tree Cornflakes.
Exactly what I need. It's a secret ingredient. You can enjoy it every day.
I'm ready to go. Now tell me, do you feel the flow?
When you feel low, you can use some yellow to brighten up the show. When I wanna get fired up, all I do is get the red.
Orange makes me feel alright and happy all the way.
Everybody needs some color in their life. Makes you happy, makes you feel alright.
Introducing the new Fruticana Smoothie in 4 exciting flavors. Fruticana Smoothie, color your mood.